For Off the Block, I'm Vinny Lopes, and we are now joined by George Mason head coach Jay Hosack as he is getting his team ready and prepared for the upcoming NCAA tournament. And Jay, I want to ask you, your team last played Saturday. What has this week in practice been like for you guys getting ready for the NCAA tournament?
Well, to be honest with you, I gave them Monday off. I thought they deserved it. They've been working really hard, and we've got finals coming up here pretty quickly, and I wanted to give them a chance to get caught up on schoolwork. So, to be honest with you, it hasn't been a heavy week. But the reality is that there's a new focus now. You know, it's one of those things where, okay, we've accomplished all these great things. What is our next step? What's the next goal that we can accomplish? And they all understand that Ohio State's a really good team, and they're really well coached, and they've got some players there that are really solid. But they also know that we have improved as well, and it's one of those things where we're just excited to see teams now that we played earlier in the year when we were still learning everything, and now we get a chance to kind of see where we are. So I'm really excited. The boys are really happy and excited, and all the fans from Mason Nation are all rooting us on, and it's fun to be at this time of the year still playing ball. That's for sure.
Well, I do want to ask because you did see Ohio State, as you alluded to earlier in the season. You lost them. It was a pretty competitive match. But what do you think is the biggest difference from your team in January to now?
Well, I think we execute our offense at a little bit of a higher clip. We were definitely not clicking on all cylinders when we played them before. But I think really the biggest difference is our blocking and defense. We've really learned how to take the systems that we're working and make them work for us. And they've got a couple of players in Miles Johnson and Nicholas Serzin that definitely can put the ball down at any given moment. But I think the way we're playing right now, it's not going to be an easy match for any team. And like I said, they're well coached. P. Hansen is one of the best in the game. They're not going to go into this match lightly. I know there are some people around the country that may see this match and think that it's going to be a walkover for Ohio State. And I definitely know right now that Pete's not saying that. I know Tim Membrother, assistant coach, and Kevin Birch are not saying that. They're looking at it going, look, this is a different team than we've faced them before. And that's a testament to the quality of the coaching. They understand that nothing at this point is a given. And they're going to prepare well, and so are we.
Yeah. And, Jay, I do want to ask you, you look at this Ohio State team, obviously they have good pin hitters, but they're really good at the service line. How do you get your team prepared to handle some of the serving pressure that you can expect to see from Ohio State?
Well, I think luckily we've got a couple of guys that can bring it in on the service line as well, so I don't think we're missing anything in terms of caliber in practice. They might hit it at a little different height or maybe a different angle with their hands, but for the most part, it's really they're just unloading. And if our guys can recreate that somewhat in practice, then we can kind of replicate it a little bit easier. But that's the name of the game, right? Is serve and pass. If you're serving and passing well, then you can run the rest of your system pretty well. But I think we've got some pretty good servers too, and I know Ohio State's got a couple guys who can bring it. So Hopefully it's just good volleyball. It's not a team that's having an off-night in the service line. It becomes just kind of a walkthrough.
And, Coach, so much is made every single season when we hit the NCAA tournament by experience. And I know your team, for the players, this is new going to the NCAA tournament, but for you and your time at Penn State, you've been there before. How much does that experience as a coach help you get your team ready for what they can expect when they get up to Penn State?
Well, I think there's a couple of factors that come to play here. One is that my players believe in me and what I'm telling them when it comes to these kinds of matches. And it's easier for me because I have been there, so I kind of do know what to prepare for. So they trust in knowing that the things that I'm telling them are the things that they need to know. But also, in a sense, in a blissful ignorance position, because they've never been there before. There's almost this kind of, we really don't really know what to expect, so what does it matter? Let's just keep playing and having fun and enjoying the process. And that's kind of a neat place to be because there's no pressure on us. And that's the best part about being the sixth seed in this is, sure, we'd like to be higher, but the reality is you still have to play good teams to get in, so let's just play loose, have fun, and enjoy the moment, and not worry about the outcome. We've already accomplished so much that the rest from here on out is gravy. So our guys they're comfortably focused and comfortably relaxed. There's not too much on either direction. I'm pretty confident we're going to come out and play a good match.
Right. And Coach, I know that I've had an opportunity to talk to you about a lot of your players, but one player in particular who's kind of had quietly a great season at an all-conference caliber year was Dom Edgley, your middle attacker. Can you just talk about what has made him so successful on and off the court this year?
I am a huge fan of good volleyball players, and I know that sounds really stupid and cliche because obviously anybody likes to have good volleyball players, but Dom is an undersized middle. He's only 6'5", but he works really hard. He's a good leader on and off the court, and I think Dom just really struggled the last couple of years with just kind of finding his place on the team. And conversations I've had with him have been more about, I'm not cracking into the top two, I'm not playing that much, and, he really didn't know what his senior year was going to be about, but, I really thought he brought a lot to the table, and so I gave him a shot early, and he capitalized on it, and luckily we've got some depth at some positions, and that's one of them. We have 6 middle blockers in our team, that's a lot, and so he knew if he wasn't having a good night that somebody else was going to be able to step in and make something happen. And Dom kind of ran with that. He had a good jump spin serve in the beginning of the year. Now he's jump floating, and that's working for him. And, he's up quick. He's in the air waiting for that ball, and he's got a good arm. He has range. He blocks well. I mean, those are all things that, that you want your middle blocker to be able to do. You're not really counting on any kind of defense from him. You're more or less counting on, swinging and blocking, and if you get a good serve, well, that's a bonus. But, Dom he's kind of taken that and running with it a little bit. Nobody really expected him to do anything great this year, except Dom knew he wanted to do something great. And sure enough, he's having one heck of a senior year, that's for sure.
One of the interesting things about this NCAA tournament is there's a lot of first-year head coaches in it. You're one of them. And one of the things that we hear in volleyball, not only volleyball, but throughout NCAA sports, is whenever you have a first-year coach in, their thing is, well, these aren't my players. Wait until I get my players in. And I want to ask you, because you've had success in your first year, what do you think that says about you and your coaching ability that, the quote-unquote, these aren't your guys yet, you're able to find a way to win?
Well, it means that I know how to run with a lot of smoke and mirrors going on. No, the reality is this. They're not bad players. And I know that usually, when you have a head coaching change, the majority of the time, not all the time, but the majority of the time, it's, usually a losing season, or 2 or 3, and they're kind of down in the dumps and trying to rebuild, and, and maybe the recruiting hasn't gone well, whatever the case is. This was a team that played in the EIDA finals last year against us when I was at Penn State. They were a good team then. And, what I did was I just came in, evaluated what I had, and I just tried to maximize our strengths. I thought we had some players that had good ball control. I thought we had some players that had good serves. I thought we had some players that blocked well. And I said, we're not reinventing the wheel. This isn't a broken program that I came into. This is a good program that's been well coached over the years by Fred Chow, and so I just want to come in and evaluate what we have, and make some adjustments maybe with our defense and blocking. I know that there's been some question marks on that over the past few years, and I think stability in the lineups has made things a little bit easier for the guys, but. For the most part, it's just kind of saying, hey, here's something that is done at the higher levels. Let's see if it works for us. And the guys bought in, and they started to see the fruits of their labor about midway through the season. And I think that's a testament to them for sticking it in. They could have easily hung it up after being 1-6 and said, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. This is not the program that we're going to be successful at. And unfortunately, we got a coach who doesn't know what he's doing. And so, luckily, they hung in there, and next thing you know, we're having a pretty good end of the year run.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks, this has really been the first time a lot of people around the nation have gotten a chance to see your team play. And I just want to ask you, what's maybe the one thing that you want people to know about your program that, for people who haven't maybe seen you guys play before, or just aren't too familiar with George Mason volleyball?
Well, first and foremost with that question, I want them to know that we're a program of integrity in class. I want us to respect every team that we face across the net. I obviously am okay with a little bit of moxie here and there. There's always going to be a little trash talk through the net, as long as it's all good fun and it's all done for the right reasons. But we try to respect everybody across the net from us. I want them to know that our guys are just flat out hustlers in the gym. No point is going to go down easy. And I'd like to think that someday we're going to become a team that has some pretty good offensive weapons in terms of big bangers, but we don't really have anybody right now that stands out. I think, you look at, the guys who were all conference and guys that are potential All-Americans, we're not the Ben Patches and the James Shaws and the Micah Mahas of the world. Those are all really outstanding players, and my hat's off to those guys because they know how to bring it. But I think we're a little bit more even-keeled in terms of having a personnel that is even across the board. We look at our offense. We're not relying upon one or two guys to really bring it all the time. We've got it spread out pretty well, at least in the matches that I thought we played well. And I think that's a testament to our guys. We look at each other and go, hey, if you're not getting it done, I'm going to get it done. And if I'm not getting it done, then this guy's going to get it done. And that's fun to be a part of. They work hard for each other, and they really want everybody to know that we're learning how to play big boy volleyball with the rest of them. And someday, hopefully we earn that moniker. We'd like to be able to be considered part of that.
All right, Coach, and final question for me before I let you go. As we've talked about before, these aren't just volleyball players. They don't just do that. They're also students. They take classes. This is a finals week for them. Just how difficult is it for some of your players right now, just trying to balance, preparing for an NCAA tournament and, preparing for some of the biggest tests of the semester?
Well, I think any coach worth his weight in salt is going to tell you that that's the first reason why they go to school, is to get the education. And I know that I believe that firmly. That was part of my selling point, I guess, when I came in for the interviews of this job, is that this is a great institution. It's a great university with very high academics. We can't have students here that aren't taking care of business. In fact, this team was one of the 5 teams that won the ABCA All Academic Team Award. That's a pretty big deal, and I'm pretty proud of that. I really had nothing to do with that, but I try to hold that standard throughout my team. Is, hey, you need to get your studies done. And one of the things I think no team is maybe doing this weekend, I'm resting my guys on Saturday and Sunday, and I'm telling them, hey, you got 48 straight hours that you can get work done for your classes coming up. You got finals, you got papers, you got exams, you got things you got to study for. Take this time and get it done now, so that when we go into the next week, we've got a clear mind. And I know there are a lot of coaches out there that believe the same way, so I know I'm not alone in that boat. But that's one of the things that I kind of pride myself on, is that I've been a student athlete. I know it's tough, and these guys work really, really hard, and I want to give them as much opportunity as possible to be successful on the court and in the classroom as well.